Hello, and welcome to today's episode. If you've already heard the introduction before, then just skip ahead about 4 minutes. Otherwise, the Bible is referred to as the living Word of God. It isn't a book that is meant simply to be read. It is a perspective-altering substance that is meant to be ingested and absorbed into you. And when it becomes a part of you, it changes you. And that is exactly what it is meant to do. A psalm is a spiritual song based on real-life experiences that reveal a profound, foundational insight that is then expressed in the form of music, which is usually played on a harp. This is my own paraphrase of the Psalms. Now, there is an important difference between a paraphrase and a translation, and it is important to understand what that difference is. A translation takes a text word by word, and it finds the most accurate word in another language to convey the meaning of that original word. But sometimes getting the details right can come at the expense of the big picture. For example, the literal translation for a butt dial and the literal translation for a booty call could end up being exactly the same if they were both translated very literally into another language. But we all know that those are two very different ideas. A paraphrase, on the other hand, is attempting to capture the spirit of the idea that is being expressed, but both approaches come with their own disadvantages. Sometimes the most literal translation for each word, while still technically accurate, also loses something in its translation. For example, if you were to translate the phrase, "cat got your tongue," into another language, it would make no sense to them. Why would a cat grab your tongue? What are you even talking about? In order to convey the original idea, you would have to find out which saying is used in that other language to express the same concept. But it might not involve a cat, or even any animal at all. And so the literal translation would not be a very accurate one. But in a case like the one that I just described, the idea is more important than sticking to a very literal translation that also loses all of its intended meaning. However, because paraphrases are an individual's interpretation of the underlying idea instead of a rigorous academic translation of the word, they are not as objectively accurate as a translation is. A paraphrase is a lot more subjective, and that makes it much more susceptible to interpretations that are way off the mark of the original text's intent. The focus of a translation is on detailed accuracy, and sometimes the broader picture is not conveyed very clearly as a result. The focus of a paraphrase is on painting that big picture, but it often loses the accuracy of the finer details. Both are useful as long as you understand which is which and what the disadvantages to each approach are. And that is why I recommend using both an accurate translation like the New American Standard and a responsible paraphrase. Psalm 49. To the music leader, a psalm of the sons of Korah. Let all people hear what I say to you now. Every person who inhabits this mortal world should be careful not to overlook this lesson. Regardless of whether you are in a low position or a high one, a regular person, or a member of the privileged elite, these words apply to both the rich and the poor alike, For I am proclaiming true wisdom to you. I am pouring out the deepest meditations of my heart, because they produced understanding, reason, and enlightenment. I consented to learn from the authoritative wisdom of a higher parable, and now I will share what I have come to understand, unveiling the dark paradox of our existence, while expressing its nature through the music of my harp. Why should I be afraid when the dark days bringing trouble finally arrive, and I find myself surrounded by the immoral intentions of those who want to supplant me simply out of the twisted malice that is in their own heart? These people rely completely on the power of their wealth, and their one and only boast is the excessive number of assets that they have at their disposal. But no man will ever be able to redeem either himself or the brother that he dearly loves from the fate that they both share. They have nothing that they could possibly even offer to God that might serve as a bribe or a ransom when their time comes. For the price to buy an actual life is one that no person could ever pay, and the cost of redeeming a soul is forever beyond what anyone could afford. You could offer everything that you have, and it would never begin to suffice. In light of this, everyone should permanently stop trying to find a way to live forever in the futile belief that they can keep the people that they love from being lowered into their graves, where they will decay. Look around you, and you will see that even the very best men die, despite their virtue. And even the wisest teacher, with all of his wisdom, is mortal in the end. And this is true for everyone. For self-confident fools die too. Their stupidity doesn't save them either. And the senseless brutes of the world end up perishing just like everyone else. It is the fate of all to leave the power that they have acquired in life to other people, along with all of the things that they treasured. Just because your most inner thoughts tell you that the things that you have built are going to last forever, that doesn't make it true. To put it bluntly, the home that you will live in the longest is your grave. Your gravestone is the only piece of you that will still be around for future generations. But each man still thinks that he is the exception to this rule. They honestly believe that the lands that they own actually belong to them. And so they name the estates that they build after themselves, as though that will buy them a small piece of immortality and ensure that a part of their identity will endure. But the reality is that no man will survive. None of them will last, no matter how great their honor and their fanfare were. That person will still never succeed at becoming immortal. He will live briefly, and then he will share the destiny of all creatures, however large, which is to die. To not accept that reality is the very way that overconfident fools and immature simpletons waste their precious lives. And yet, for some reason, even after they die, just like everyone else, the people who come along after them continue to admire and approve of the things that they said, only to share their fate. Pause a moment and actually think about that. Just like ignorant sheep, all of those equally blind people are destined for the boneyard. Death will be their shepherd there. And in the life that follows with the breaking dawn, the upright, who saw this life for what it was and aimed higher, will have the upper hand over the rest, whose beauty and forms will waste away as they are consumed by their own grave, until they no longer require a home to fill. But God will reach out to hold on to me. He will redeem my true being from the grip of that void, because He is willing to receive me to Himself instead. Stop to meditate on that idea for a while. So do not be afraid or impressed when one person becomes rich and the power of his family grows. For when death comes for him, he will not get to carry any of that with him. Neither his wealth nor his power will follow him when he descends into his long future in the grave. True, while he is still alive, he congratulates himself, thinking that he has arrived, and he considers himself to be leading a prosperous and even happy life. And in a similar way, it is also true that other people will praise you when you do well for yourself and you make good. But don't be seduced by that false sense of security, for both you and he will still join all of the generations of your ancestors lying in their burial plots, where they will never again see the light of this life. A man who fails to grasp this, even if he is held in honor, if he does not understand this, he is the same as all of the other unknowing beasts. And just like them, he will perish in his own ignorance without ever knowing the truth. I pray that whatever voice God might choose to give me in this world, He would also give me the words that I should use it for. These words have meaning for me, and if they had some meaning for you as well, then I am truly grateful that we've both been given a gift from above and from each other. Have a good day out there, my friends.